Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this December meeting of the Quorum Court to order and welcome everyone in attendance. Tonight, the prayer and the pledge is going to be handled by J.P. Lisa Ecke. J.P. Ecke.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we're so thankful to you that you're kind and good and gracious and merciful. And we're thankful for this final Quorum Court meeting that we're having for this year. And we thank you that you give us wisdom to do that which is right because you love us so. And we pray for Harvey Bowman now. And we ask for your healing touch upon him, that he will come back and sit as a member of this Quorum Court in good health. And we thank you and we praise you in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, J.P. Ecke. Next thing we have is roll call. Carly?
Daniel Balls.
Here.
Harvey Bowman. Rick Cochran. Robert Dennis. Lisa Ecke.
Here.
Ann Harbison.
Here.
Sharon Lloyd.
Here.
Tom Lundstrom.
Here.
Eva Madison.
Here.
Sue Madison.
Here.
Joe Maxwell.
Here.
Gary McHenry.
Here.
Joe Patterson.
Here.
Butch Pond.
Here.
Bill Essery.
We do have a quorum present. Next thing we have is the adoption of the agenda.
Mayor, the adoption of the agenda is printed.
Second.
We have a couple items to add to the agenda.
You're recognized, J.P. Pond.
Yes, ma'am. We have an ordinance appropriating $25,074 from the general fund to the Equalization Board's budget for 2015. And I believe we had a resolution authorizing the county judge to execute necessary documents to liquidate Lib Horn's bequest to the Lester C. Howitt Animal Shelter of Washington County. Is that correct?
Yes. I think we also have a mental health resolution. Do you also want to add that?
Yes, ma'am. Is the mental health the resolution
Is it on here?
already?
Okay. Okay.
It's 8.1. We do have there are a few people here that are on. They're here for that resolution only. We might move it to the front. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Do you make that motion?
So
do I have the
moved.
second? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then we also have, for this mental health resolution, to move this up. Let's see. Do we want to put it probably? That's fine if y'all prefer to have it. Okay, have this resolution after the minutes. Is that everyone in favor?
Very well.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you guys very much. Let's see. Minutes of the Quorum Court meetings. You have those meetings for the September. Yes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I have read all 4 sets of minutes and sent minor inconsequential corrections to Carly that you should have. So I would move approval as Carly has recently sent them.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to move the resolution, and let's see, what is the number of that? What is it, 15? Go to number 15 in your agenda, and we will move forward with that one until we get that. So, J.B. Madison, that's yours.
Thank you, Madam Judge. And I'd first like to ask our attorney to read the resolution, please.
A resolution supporting the reduction of the number of people with mental illnesses in county jails. Whereas counties routinely provide treatment services to the estimated 2 million people with serious mental illnesses booked into jail each year, and whereas prevalence rates of serious mental illnesses in jails are 3 to 6 times higher than for the general public, and whereas almost 3/4 of adults with serious mental illnesses in jails have co-occurring substance use disorders, and whereas adults with mental illnesses tend to stay longer in jail and, upon release, are at a higher risk for recidivism, that word always trips me up, recidivism than people without these disorders, and whereas county jails spend 2 to 3 times more on adults with mental illnesses that require interventions compared to those without these treatment needs, and whereas without the appropriate treatment and services, people with mental illnesses continue to cycle through the criminal justice system, often resulting in tragic outcomes for these individuals and their families, and whereas Washington County and all counties take pride in their responsibility to protect and enhance the health, welfare, and safety of its residents in efficient and cost-effective ways, and whereas an example of deep county involvement is Bexar County, San Antonio, Texas, which has developed its Restoration Center, which helps people stay out of jail by offering mental health and substance use disorder treatment, and whereas through Stepping Up, the National Association of Counties, the Council of State Governments Justice Center, and the American Psychiatric Association Foundation are encouraging public, private, and nonprofit partners to reduce the number of people with mental illnesses in jails. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, the State of Arkansas. Article 1. The Washington County Quorum Court does hereby sign on to the call to action to reduce the number of people with mental illnesses in our county jail.
Thank you, Mr. Zaga. Members, first, I want to express my very deep gratitude to J.P. Butch-Pond for handling this for me during the Jails Committee meeting. I not only had laryngitis, but more importantly, I had grandmother duty. So I'm very grateful to J.P. Pond. I'd also like to express gratitude to Nancy Kahanick for bringing this resolution to the court and contacting me, and to our co-sponsors, J.P. Pond, J.P. Dennis, J.P. Balls, I read that wrong, for helping me with this. And I know there are a number of people here who want to speak on it, and I think we all acknowledge that we have something of a crisis with mental illness in this country and the effect that it has on the population and our county jails and the expense of those jails. So the Stepping Up initiative, the nationwide initiative, is a call at the local level for leaders in the community to get together and try to address some positive outcomes that would be of benefit to those with the disorders as well as the rest of us, and we hope to our budget. I would like to stress that this is by no means an attempt to condone misdeeds or to overlook wrongful acts. We fully expect people who do wrong things in society to have some consequence and punishment for that. So I would like to make that clear. And with that, I'll move that we pass the resolution, but prior to a vote, ask the judge if you would call for public comment.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? If anyone would like to make comments, please come forward and identify yourself. Go ahead and take a seat. Your mic is on, and go ahead and make your comments. Appreciate it very much.
I'm Nancy Kahanick, and I'm with the group JEMI, Judicial Equality for Mental Illness. I just really want to say thank you all so much for being involved with this discussion that we had the other night with J.P. Lundstrom's jail group, and the interest that you've all shown. It really means a lot to us, and we thank you again for considering it. And if you have any questions, I or Sheriff Helder or Dr. Williams, anyone can probably give you.
Anyone have any questions for Nancy? Thank you, ma'am, very much. We appreciate you coming tonight. Anyone else? Well, we know this is not a fix-all, but we also know that this is a good step to start in the right direction. And I'm very, very happy to see this being done. I think it's the right way to start doing things. You have to take the first step to get the rest of them going. So thank you very much. Well, with no further comment, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Joel Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman.
Thank you very much. I know a lot of you have come for this reason. We'd love for any one of you to stay as long as you want to, but please feel like it if you need to leave. This is a busy time of the year, so please feel like if you need to leave, we won't think bad thoughts of you. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's go back to our agenda, and we'll start where we left off. We're going to have a treasurer's report from Mr. Hill.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
And if I forget, Merry Christmas. All right. I guess just get this thing started, 6.1. First line, 1,000, general fund. We had our the October settlement from the collector came in November, so we had our best settlement of the year. It was $3.7 million to the general fund, and that increased our revenues to $4.6. So we began the month at a little over $10 million, ended the month at almost $13 million. The road department continues to do well, $400,000 revenues over expenditures. Jail also is doing well. They started at $883,000. They ended about the same. Let's see. And as far as the projections, I've been looking at them. The new revenue that has come in so far in the general fund is $24.5 million. We projected $24.1. So we're going to exceed that, especially we will get another $1 million on the final settlement next week for the property taxes. And road is right where we projected it to be. And jail is about $1 million more than we projected at this time, but that does include the $800,000 that the general funded it back in January. And we have had a good year. Property taxes are up about 3%. Sales taxes are up about 5%, but there's always a but. We began 2015 with $14.3 million in the bank, and we're probably going to end 2015 around the $12.5 million mark. 6.2. It's 1% tax. Another good month, up 4.8%. This is the 10 out of 11 months this year have been up. So you'll see we've brought in a little over $6 million. We projected 6.3, and we'll be at about 6.5. 6.3. Jail sales tax came in at $754,000, $40,000 more than this same time last year. That was an increase of about 5.5%. We will also be well over our projection. 6.4, the road tax. It's up over 5% as well. 1.2 million for the year with one more to go. 67,000 for the year over the same time last year. And finally, 6.5 is Nelson's insurance report. I don't know much about it more than we started with 1.7 million and we ended with 1.5. So, any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Hill? J.P. Madison?
Thank you, Madam Judge. This may be a question you can't answer, but I'm just curious. If Congress were to pass the Main Street Fairness Act that I believe Congressman Womack is supporting, do you have any idea what that would mean revenue-wise to Washington County?
I do not. I know J.P. Ussery has been working on that, but I don't have a clue what it would bring in dollar-wise. I could tell you a number, but it would just be a be a guess.
I guess nobody has any way of knowing, especially as online sales apparently continue to grow.
I'm sure there's been studies on it, but
Okay.
I can't answer it, like you said.
Well, just keep our fingers crossed then.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Hale? Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Next we have is our comptroller's report. Ms. Bolger?
Yes, if you'll turn to page 10, the unappropriated reserves report. We had one ordinance for the 23,000 was the effects on that this time. So you can see the ending balance of the unappropriated reserves. And we're still holding reserves for jail of the 2.5, and pretty sure we will not be using that. They're in pretty good shape right now. We may use a portion of that, but it doesn't look like we will be. If you turn to page 11, or 7.2, you can see the percent expended, and that is actually, that's a true number of what's been expended compared to the budget. And if you turn to 7.3, if you'll look at page 13, it'll show that 92% was used. That 92% is inclusive with the expenditures and the encumbrances. So the true expenditures right now are 90%. And if you look at the insurance fund, you can see it's at 103%, and we have an ordinance that will adjust that. That's all my report.
Any questions for Ms. Bollinger? Thank you very much, Cheryl. The next thing we have is a resolution endorsing participation in a sales tax. Mr. Pond. Number 8.
A resolution endorsing the participation of Matova Incorporated in the Sales and Use Tax Refund Program authorized by the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003 and Arkansas Code Annotated, Section 15-4-2706D. Whereas, in order for a business to be eligible for participation in the investment tax incentives provided in the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003 and Arkansas Code Annotated, Section 15-4-2706D, the local governing body must specify that the Department of Finance and Administration is authorized to refund local sales and use taxes to a business participating in the tax refund program, and whereas Matova Incorporated is expanding its facility in Fayetteville and wishes to participate in and be eligible for the investment tax incentives contained in Arkansas Code Annotated, Section 15-4-2706D, due to the establishment of its facilities and the purchase of new equipment in Washington County, Arkansas, and whereas Matova Incorporated has agreed to furnish Washington County all information necessary for compliance in the tax refund program. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1, that the participation of Matova Incorporated in the sales and use tax refunds is provided in the Consolidated Incentive Act and Arkansas Code Annotated, Section 15-4-2706D, is hereby endorsed. Article 2, it is further resolved that the Department of Finance and Administration is authorized to refund local sales taxes to Matova Incorporated. Article 3, that this resolution shall take effect immediately.
This is something that our cities in northwest Arkansas, our mayors, everybody involved has been working for. It's an opportunity. We have a high-tech company coming in, and they're going to be providing over $2 million annually in jobs to people in Washington County. I move we pass 8.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, J.P. Hardison.
Do we know how many jobs this is creating?
It's on,
Is it on?
it's on
Oh, okay, I see
8.2,
it.
page 20.
Okay, sorry, I hadn't done my homework. Thank you. I have one
Yeah,
other
go right
comment
ahead. Yeah.
to make, that Washington County this year, according to Bobby Hall, we are refunding over $1 million to companies buying new equipment. I just want to make that point because we are doing our share to attract businesses to Washington County. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any public comments? Come around and identify yourself, please.
Good evening. I am Chung Tan, Director of Economic Development from the Fayetteville Chamber. We thank the Quorum Court for considering this application. We are in fully support of Matova coming to Fayetteville. They are Franklin, Tennessee-based and Conway, Arkansas-based companies. They particularly chose Fayetteville because of the entrepreneur ecosystem that is so vibrant in Fayetteville and Northwest Arkansas. Their first initial investment of creating 30 jobs is something that they would like to start with, and hopefully we hope to see more. And usually in the high-tech sector, they come in a group, so as you get through a few, and then you create the credibility, and then you create the confidence that the Fayetteville or Northwest Arkansas region has the workforce and the friendliness to support such a company to come over. We have the potential to attract even more companies to come. It is true that this is a sales and use tax refund, but then we look at the long term on how the 30 jobs can create more than $2 million of payroll annually, and thereby allowing more disposable incomes that they could buy homes, and then that's where the property tax comes in. And so the trickling effect results in a lot more economic impact that is positive toward the Washington County. So we appreciate your consideration, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Carla, would you call the roll, please?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison,
Yes.
Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Joel Maxwell,
Yes.
Gary McHenry,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to number 9. Butch?
Yes, ma'am. Steve?
A resolution authorizing the Washington County Judge to submit a grant request to the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, Division of Rural Services on behalf of the Sunset Rural Fire Department. Whereas the Washington County Quorum Court has determined that the Sunset Rural Fire Department meets eligibility requirements necessary to apply for a grant under the Gift House Fire Protection Grant Program, and whereas the Sunset Rural Fire Department has presented plans to purchase 12 sets of turnout gear, and whereas the Quorum Court of Washington County recognizes the need for the project, concurs in its importance, and supports the Sunset Rural Fire Department in its efforts to proceed with the same, and whereas no matching funds are required, now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, Article 1, that the County Judge of Washington County is hereby authorized to submit an application of formal request to the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, Division of Rural Services, for the purposes of securing state grant funds in the amount of $27,350 to aid and assist the Sunset Rural Fire Department in executing the proposed project described herein. Article 2, that the County Judge of Washington County is further authorized to administer the grant funds of the same for the same project.
This one's pretty much it's self-explanatory. And the turnout gear is definitely a necessity for being a volunteer and being active as a volunteer. I move we pass 9.1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Judge. J.P. Pond, do you have, is that okay for me to ask him? It's not, is it?
No.
Let me ask anybody who knows the answer then. Is the Sunset Fire Department a 501c3 nonprofit, or is it the other variety of fire department?
I'll let Steve answer that.
Actually, Justice Pond may be the person to answer that question. All of them that are wholly within Washington County are 501c3s, and as well as being the other kind. They're both.
They're both.
Yes. And I think Sunset's entirely within Washington County.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So the answer to Justice Madison's question is it's a 501c3 and the other type under the statute, the number of which I cannot recall right now.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Carly, would you call the roll?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison, Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison,
Yes.
Joe Maxwell,
Yes.
Gary McHenry,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls,
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Thank you. Next, we go to number 10. Mr. Pond?
Yes, Steve.
An ordinance appropriating $70,000 from the general fund to the building and grounds budget in the general fund for 2015. Article 1, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $70,000 from the general fund to the following line items in the building and grounds budget for 2015. Building and grounds, utilities, electricity, $40,000, professional services, $30,000, for a total appropriation of $70,000.
This comes about, as you know, earlier, we dipped into the budget of buildings and grounds for some camera equipment, and so they're going to have an infusion to make up for that. I move we pass 10.1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison, Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison, Sue Madison, Joe Maxwell,
Yes.
Gary McHenry,
Yes.
Joe Patterson,
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls,
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Thank you, Ron. Next is number 11.
Steve.
An ordinance appropriating $800,000 from the employee insurance fund to the employee insurance budget for 2015. Article 1. There is hereby appropriated the amount of $800,000 from the employee insurance fund to the health insurance line item of the employee insurance budget for 2015.
If you have not looked on the next page, page 26, it explains that about $100,000 a week has been coming out of there for a little time. It's brought that fund down lower than what we need to have it. If we're going to look at contracts for insurance providers, I move we pass 11.1.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, J.P. Ecke.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I do have a question. How low are these reserves, or is this amount allowed to go? Is there anything regulating to how low, or is this something that we just look at and monitor?
Lindsay, do you know that question?
Thank you, Mrs. Baker.
Before I answer that, can I make a little bit of a clarification, because I think it will make this make more sense.
Okay.
It's not actually the fund that is dropping. The fund is the same state it was when Bobby Hill presented a few moments ago. We have about $1.5 million in there. This is the budget. This was our projected expenditures for the year. We're not actually moving money into the health fund or anything of that nature. This is just recognizing that we've spent this amount of money or expecting to expend it before the end of the year. So it's taking it out of the health fund and applying it for expenditures. That's all we're doing.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Thank you for coming on forward. We appreciate you. Any public comment? Thank you, Lindsay. Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison, Sharon Lloyd, Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison, Sue Madison, Joe Maxwell, Gary McHenry,
Yes.
Joe Patterson, Butch Pond,
Yes.
Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman.
Number 12, Butch.
Yes, Steve.
Sorry. An ordinance appropriating $60,000 from the Circuit Court Automation Fund to the Court Automation Budget for 2015. Article 1, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $60,000 from the Circuit Court Automation Fund to the Software Support Maintenance Agreement line item in the court automation budget for 2015.
Move to pass 12.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? Carly, call the roll, please.
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke.
Yes.
Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd.
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison. Sue Madison. Joe Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry.
Yes.
Joe Patterson.
Yes.
Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery. Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead, Jeffrey.
I just wanted to say whoever's idea it was to combine what would have been the finance budget with the quorum court meeting, thank you for making us very efficient this month. I wish we could do that more often because we just saved ourselves the expense of a meeting right there. So I'm appreciative.
The next thing we have is the county judge report. I've got a couple of businesses that I need to take care of. The first one, I think most of you realize, have received a memo regarding a board appointment at the request of the Washington County Bar Association. I am recommending that Steve Zaga be appointed to the County Law Library Board to complete the term of Brock Showalter, who recently resigned. This appointment will expire in 2018. Do I have a motion to confirm this appointment?
So moved.
And a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. You just got another job. Okay, the next thing.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the court.
The next thing you have in front of you is the property disposal, and let me see if I can find my papers on that. According to Act, Steve, why don't you go ahead and bring this forward to the court for me?
Ladies and gentlemen, from time to time, and by the way, the act cited there is Arkansas Code 14-16-106. There are a couple ways that counties can get rid of property. One of them is by sealed bid and advertisement. One of them is by auction, and we have both the old-fashioned kind where we bring it up for a physical auction, and I understand we're about to have one of those in the near future, an internet auction of the eBay type. And then there is a private sale authorized, and then there is one where we just say, this is junk, and we are going to dispose of it and not try to get money for it. This is what this situation covers in 13.2. In order for that to happen, the judge has to have the concurrence of the county assessor. The county assessor's office has to sign off on that determination that the property is junk. And once that's done, the judge may dispose of the property in accordance with statute in any manner she deems fit. Most of this that's in front of you is electronics. Those electronic items, as you know, have an obsolescence life, for lack of a better way to say that. We have a county recycling program. We take them to environmental affairs where they go to electronics heaven after that. And so what you see before you is also the statutorily mandated report of what has been sent down there. Now, as you can see, there are some other things that are not there, or that are not technology on that list, but by and large, that's what's in front of you tonight.
You know, it is, this is something that we all look in our own household, and the accumulation of computers and printers and, okay. And so we know we have to be able to move this and get it out of the way. Thank you, Steve, for presenting that for me. Do I have a motion to accept the proposal to?
I move that the county judge be given the authority to dispose of unwanted property. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, folks, very much. We'll try not to clutter too much. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Zaga, do we really have to do that for a stapler? It just seems like there's a stapler and a letter opener on the list.
Now, there is and I didn't notice that on the spreadsheet, but If it's a single item,
It seems like maybe.
no,
the
that's in a
state-
bundle.
Okay.
The
I just wondered
answer to
the-
that question is, here's the deal. The statute says property. It doesn't make a distinction on worth. It doesn't make a distinction on, there is no floor. Here's the realistic answer. Nobody is coming to the judge to ask for permission to throw away a broken stapler. But when it came in this particular list, I think it's about halfway down your page there.
Yeah.
That came in a bundle of things
Okay.
that was all at once disposed of. So, yeah, nobody's saying, please give me permission to throw out this stapler, Judge.
Or the
And then
letter
going to
writer.
the assessor and saying, please sign off that the stapler is worthless. But in general, this, for y'all's information, we've been dealing with this mostly in the context of electronics and figuring out the obsolescence of electronics and whether or not they would actually fetch anything in terms of money on the market.
Don't spend that money from the stapler all in one place.
Well, and we will have an auction. We'll get ready for that. That's quite an ordeal, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked up, but we will eventually have one. Bomb suits and all. The next thing we have is our committee reports, county services.
We did not meet for a lack of agenda, Judge.
Public Works, Mr. Bowman is not here. Is someone, well, they did not meet either.
They didn't, no. We didn't have
Okay,
either of those meetings.
Personnel, Butch.
Yes, ma'am. We did meet on December 7th here at the courthouse, and we had an interesting discussion on concerning bonuses and raises for county employees and the maximum allowable compensation pursuant to JSAP, and I believe we've determined that at some time, maybe in the near future, we might have Blair come before us and educate us a little on the way we slide the scale up a little bit. We've had there was quite a bit of talk about concerns of some of the lower paid employees who are on nearly at the top of the scale. They're almost to their cap and still not making a whole lot of money. And Blair he can explain to us how that works and how we raise the scale. And that was basically what we discussed and mostly what our meeting pertained to. Thank you.
Thank you, J.P. Pond. Jail, Mr. Lundstrom.
We did meet. Mr. Cantrell and Mr. Denzer both reported that everything was running pretty steadily with the jail. Our prisoner count is up to 625, which is approaching maximum. So that's a little bit of a concern. We had the discussion over the mental health issue at that meeting. Several good questions were asked, a lot of interest shown in it. And of course, that resolution passed tonight. And Jeannie Mack said that their detention time was down at the JDC, so that sounded good. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, J.P. Lundstrom. Next, we've already done 15. We're going to go and move on to number 16. J.P. Pond.
An emergency ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit granted by the Planning and Zoning Board. Whereas the Planning and Zoning Board granted a conditional use permit on December 10th for Ritapest, and whereas immediate ratification is necessary by the Quorum Court to prevent undue delay and expense to the applicant, and whereas ratification will not affect any appeal rights any person may have, now therefore be it ordained by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1, that the conditional use permit for Ritapest granted by the Planning and Zoning Board is hereby ratified. Article 2, Emergency Clause. It is hereby determined that it is the public's best interest for this ordinance to become effective immediately, and that the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizens are affected by such for the reasons as set out above. Therefore, an emergency is declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be and is effective from the date of its passage.
Yes, this is a very low-impact development. It's not going to really create any kind of situation that's not already in existence in that neighborhood, in that community. I move that we pass 16.1.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? With no further comment, Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Rick Cochran. Robert Dennis. Lisa Ecke. Ann Harbison. Sharon Lloyd. Tom Lundstrom.
Yes.
Eva Madison. Sue Madison. Joe Maxwell. Gary McHenry.
Yes.
Joe Patterson. Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery. Daniel Balls. Harvey Bowman.
Thank you. Number 17.
Yes, ma'am. Steve?
17.1, ladies and gentlemen, an ordinance appropriating $25,074 from the general fund to the Equalization Board's budget for 2015. Article 1, there is hereby appropriated the amount of $25,074 from the general fund to the property reappraisal line item in the Equalization Board budget for 2015.
Move to pass.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Yes, J.P. Madison.
I just wanted to give a little bit more information on it if I could.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Glad you asked.
Well, this was just something that came to us tonight, so hadn't studied it. I know there's a little bit of information, but
I want to pass the paper. This will explain everything. Let you pass it around. What we have is we entered a contract with our reappraisal company, ACT, in 2010. And if you look at the paper that I'm passing around, item number 3, I put an arrow there next to it. As part of that contract that we do, when they started the contract in 2010, we had 93,315 parcels. That's a 5-year contract. So as of January 1st, 2015, the county grew. You know, as people are building lots and splitting stuff, our new parcel count is 94,708. So that's a growth of 1,393 parcels. In the contract at number 3 there, it states in the contract, estimated total taxable parcels to be appraised at 9315. However, in the event said number of taxable parcels is greater than 93,315, then ACT will be compensated at a rate of $18 per parcel for each additional taxable parcel. Any billing, so you take that 1,393 times it by $18 per parcel. That's $25,074, which is the total that we need. And then I went in there and added the multiplier of 9%. You know, because I know we're all concerned about the county general. So the county general would be affected by approximately $2,256.66. So, and that's the same contract. I mean, it's a part of every contract that ACT does with the other 35 counties that they represent in the state. It's a part of our 2015 contract. Looking into this, as I was looking at our 2015 contract, I was like, is there a way we can kind of, you know, so we don't get hit with this at the end of the year? There's no way to do that. It is in our 2015 contract. What I will do in 2019, in which I wish previous person who did the budget before me before I came in had done this. What we'll do in 2019 is we will look at the amount of parcels we have grown, and then when I go to make that budget, then we can account for that, maybe even add a little to it so we don't have to come up here and do this and we don't have to be surprised by it.
thank you for your thorough explanation. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Do we have a motion and a second? Do we have other discussion?
I would like to, if you would, please, Mr. Hill, elaborate on your negotiating skills and how much money you saved the county.
Oh, sure.
He is the negotiator, and I think it needs to be shared with everybody.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
We took the 2010, if you take that, in the 2010 contract, we paid $11.50 per parcel. That was $5,365,000. If you were to take that same rate to our 2015, now with 94,000, I can't remember the total, but saved us, I think it was 450,000 or something like that, and then saved us an additional 74,000 on our imagery contract. So together, I was able to renegotiate these two contracts, save the county over $529,000.
So where you were being charged 11, how much was it?
11.50 a parcel.
And
it's
then
now
it was
10.54.
10.54.
So we were able to drop that almost $1 per parcel over a 5-year period, and yeah, so that adds up.
We appreciate it. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? Carly, would you call the roll?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison, Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison,
Yes.
Sue Madison, Joel Maxwell, Gary McHenry, Joe Patterson, Butch Pond, Bill Ussery, Daniel Balls, Harvey Bowman.
Thank you. 17.2.
Yes, ma'am. Steve?
A resolution authorizing the county judge to execute necessary documents to liquidate Lib Horn's request to the Lester C. Howick Animal Shelter of Washington County. Whereas Washington County resident Olivia A. Lib Horn made a generous bequest to the Lester C. Howick Animal Shelter of Washington County upon her death, and whereas Lib departed this life on November 10, 2015, and whereas Lib's bequest includes financial instruments such as IRAs and unit trusts, which the county must liquidate and turn into cash, and whereas in order to comply with federal securities law, to accept this gift, the county judge must execute certain forms on behalf of the county. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1. The county judge is hereby authorized on behalf of the county to execute the resolution attached hereto as Exhibit Number 1 and return the same to Taurus Financial Advisors, LLC. The county judge is also authorized on behalf of the county to execute such documents as are necessary to open, liquidate, and close an account in the county's name to facilitate liquidating the financial instruments into cash. Article 2. Acknowledging that gifts to the county must be appropriated into the general fund, the Quorum Court hereby expresses its intent to recognize and appropriate the revenues generated from the liquidation of these financial instruments to and for the use and benefit of the Lester C. Howick Animal Shelter of Washington County as soon as the instruments are converted into cash. Article 3. The Quorum Court expresses both its sincere thanks to Lib Horn for her generous gift and its deep sympathy and condolences to Lib's family and friends upon her passing.
It's a very, very gracious lady that I know we're all going to miss. In her honor, I move to pass 17.2.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, please go ahead, J.P. Madison.
Lib also left a very generous donation to the Fayetteville Animal Shelter, and I just have to say, Lib, for those of you who knew Lib, she lived a simple life. She never made a lot of money. Her animals were the focus of her life, and that she was able to take what she had and donate it to these two shelters is just really tremendous. I mean, it's a true symbol of what Lib Horn lived for, and I just think it's so remarkable that given the life she led and the amount of money she had, that she was able to leave fairly sizable gifts to both shelters. It's just, she's truly a role model for all of us, and I'm very grateful.
Any other discussion? Any public comment? I'd just like to say she was a very, very dear friend of mine. There's not a day goes by that I don't think about her. And I have a tendency to say, Karen, you talked to Lib today. So she's going to be missed, and I just want everyone to know how much we appreciate what she's done for this county, because she loved this county and she loved the city. So thank you guys very much. Anyone have anything they'd like to say? Carly, would you call the roll, please?
Rick Cochran, Robert Dennis, Lisa Ecke,
Yes.
Ann Harbison, Sharon Lloyd,
Yes.
Tom Lundstrom,
Yes.
Eva Madison.
Yes.
Sue Madison.
Yes.
Joel Maxwell.
Yes.
Gary McHenry.
Yes.
Joe Patterson.
Yes.
Butch Pond.
Yes.
Bill Ussery. Daniel Balls.
Yes.
Harvey Bowman.
Thank you. Do we have any other business to come before this court tonight? Yes, J.P. Madison.
Thank you, Madam Judge. I was looking at the January schedule that's been provided, and I noticed there is a special quorum court meeting / finance on the 14th. And I, for one, would like to say that I think we all maybe grew weary of finance / special quorum court meetings. And I would move that that be combined with the regular meeting on the 21st. I think January is not usually a agenda-packed month. It would save us some money and some time.
I'm going to need to recognize Cheryl. Cheryl, you have something that...
In January, we actually need to meet, and because we do the grants budget in January, and so until we do that, they really don't have a budget, so they're not able to make purchases they may need to make. A week doesn't sound like a long time, but it actually would be.
But the grants administrator is here. Do we know how many grants we're actually talking about that would need to be? I'm still playing catch-up from all those finance meetings that we had, at least at my house.
Getting ready to come. There are approximately 53 grants and over $2 million that we're talking about. There is no
For 1 week?
Yeah, I mean, we pay bills from grants every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every week, there's grant payments. So it's a big
we've
deal.
always had a big finance meeting in January?
Yes. I mean, there's just no way around it. I would rather meet the end of December because every week we're going to pay a grant, and we have to.
Well, maybe we should meet earlier in January if we're talking about millions of dollars a week. Madam Judge, are any of the other committees meeting, Public Works or County Services, or they're not on this calendar?
Karen is shaking her head no.
Would you rather we met at one of the slots normally held by those other committees?
I'll leave that at the discretion of the court, but I just think that it's vital that you meet as soon as possible.
Are the dollar amounts you've just quoted typical of the weeks in January?
That's not a payment per week.
No, I know, but that's the amount of the grant.
Out of those grant funds, whenever an invoice comes in, then per federal regulations and federal guidelines for grant funds, if we have 72 hours to pay out. If I order money, we have 72 hours to pay out, or else we're in federal violation. So I can't pay on any federal grants until you meet.
Well, Madam Judge, when would Public Works or County Services typically meet? I think they meet on...
4th or 11th.
Well, then why don't we meet the 11th? Would that make you even happier?
That would be perfect for me.
Okay.
I leave this up to Karen because she's the one that has to shuffle the papers.
Ms. Beeks, does that create any problems for your office?
No, the 11th would be fine.
Well, I was trying to save us a meeting, but...
Point of order, we don't have a second for this, so I think everyone feels maybe we just need to leave it where it is. I mean, it's been planned that way,
It's got a second now, J.P. Harbison.
I apologize. I made a motion and just kept rattling off. I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay. Well, then let me change the motion, if it's okay with the recent second, that we meet earlier in January, and let's meet on the 11th.
Second. Sounds like it's necessary.
And we're grateful that you were here tonight. Thank you.
Thank
Judge,
you.
can do that by voice vote. You don't necessarily need to call the roll for that. But you can leave it for debate if you want to.
I think we need to leave it for debate. I think there's some confusion. I don't know what the difference, and then, this is me, so I'm just sharing. What's the difference between the 11th and the 14th? Karen, what will that do to you?
It really just pushes Cheryl and stuff to get the books closed out, just that many more days. She'll have less, because she's got to finish out to see what the end of the budgets on those grants are, to know how much to recognize for the new year. That's the only, I mean, it
I
doesn't
just,
make any difference.
I don't
to me,
care. It
sorry.
doesn't make any difference to me. I just
But
want
I
to
know
make sure
they'll
that
have
we
to
don't
do
cause hardships
They'll
on
have less
anyone.
days to get their stuff
Yes,
together.
Cheryl, tell us what you need.
Renee's going to give me all the numbers. We'll do it whenever y'all want to. We
Is
can,
11th okay?
we'll make it okay if that's what you vote on. You know, we've been here late before and on weekends. It's not a problem. So it's whatever y'all vote on, we will make it work. Whatever the court votes.
Madam Judge, my first goal was to save a meeting, but since it ties our hands and may get us in trouble with the feds on some of their grants, it sounds like even earlier would be better.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Were you already having a meeting on the 11th?
No. Well, that's generally the time that Public Works or County Services meet, so we usually have a meeting that day, but right now we don't.
I'm good
Okay.
with the original date if there wasn't already a special meeting. I just thought you were trying to combine meetings to save money.
I was,
I'm
and
going to
delaying it a week.
recognize other people for discussion. J.P. Lloyd.
I don't want them working over the weekend, and Cheryl's already made the comment that they do, so I don't think that we need to do the 11th. I think that we need to, since they're fine with staying with the 14th, I vote that we just stay with the 14th. I respect and I understand what you were doing, J.P. Madison, but with the comment of working on the weekend, none of us want to do that. So if we could give that stay until Thursday, I would vote for that.
Okay, any other discussion? J.P. Pond?
It was the choice of the staff to have this meeting on the 14th. They already anticipated the hours of work that they're going to have getting ready for the 14th. I would prefer to leave it the 14th as they had it set up.
Madam Judge?
Just a moment.
I'm just going to say you probably need to.
Okay, go ahead, Madison.
I was so excited that we've had a night of all unanimous votes. Let me withdraw this motion. I thought it was a great way to end the year.
I'll let you withdraw it. J.P. Harbison?
I need to, we don't have a new treasurer. His name is not Hall. His name is Bobby Hill. Well, so I want to recognize that I made a mistake. Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on this issue? All in favor of leaving the meeting on the 14th, say aye. No?
You withdrew the motion, Judge.
Oh, okay.
So we're just good. We just leave it.
You want to go home now? Okay. Is there any other business to come before this court? Do I have any public comments? I just want to tell everyone, thank you for this year. I think this has been the best meeting tonight we've had all year. I just want everybody to know it. And y'all have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope all of your families well. That's the main thing in our lives anymore. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Merry
Opposed,
Christmas.
same sign.